Hello guys, welcome back to Wondrous Sessions, where we bring you the most insightful and thought-provoking discussions on a wide range of topics. Hi, I am Agni, and let me introduce the other speakers along with me. Here is Voivoshoto, Oviru, and RC. So today we bring you a discussion on the widely concerning topic of whether or not AI will take over the roles of humans in the short and or the long term future, and how humans can ensure their survival in an AI dominated and technologically powerful world. So let's continue our discussion.
Right. So our last week's discussion was about AI, and we're starting off with that. Um, so a thing that I forgot to mention in the earlier one, and which would be a good topic for this one to start, is imagine if during the COVID times, if ChatGPT or any other sort of AI generative tool was there, it would have been a absolute amazing a tool for students and an absolute nightmare for teachers. Like for students like me who does not really like to study, it would have been quite an amazing tool. Like for projects, assignments, everything can be generated from that. And while there is ChatGPT is yet in its like very basic form and a very early form, and as such, a lot of it is kind of repeated. So, like if someone and if majority of the people are actually going to ChatGPT and writing the questions and getting the answers, then at one point of time, teachers would be able to predict that it is ChatGPT generated, and maybe teachers will first use ChatGPT and find the results before they actually check the copies. But like for things like projects and all, it can be pretty good a tool. Like like everyone uses Wikipedia or any other source. Like they go through a lot of websites to find the data. They can just tell that ChatGPT and it would be done instantly. So it's a pretty good thing for doing projects and all, which like people do not like doing as such. So it will be great. And now it's over to the other guys to continue with the discussion.
I actually do not agree with whatever you said because number one, it is very easy to check whether the AI has generated whatever you are writing out. For example, in the project or whatever you are supposed to write in the submission of assignments or whatever, it's very easy. Most of the websites or there are hundreds of softwares which check for AI generated text, and it would be just a matter of seconds to check whether anything of that has been written out by ChatGPT or has been written by the student itself. Secondly, the part that you said about going through a lot of websites, the research itself is an important part of doing the project. The project is not supposed to be just completed and done. The process of going through the research, learning new things, that is the main essence of doing the project. And using ChatGPT would just be a shortcut which just cuts out on the basic necessity why you are doing that project. In fact, the topics are usually very simple and anyone can write anything on that. And the reason why they give the topics to be a bit more difficult or a bit more uncommon is that you do the research. And usually the topics, even though a bit unusual, it's not very hard to find them on the internet or whatever, because you don't really need to make up something on your own. You don't need to make any proofs of your own or any claims, unlike what you would have to do in a degree course like PhD. So the fact that it is already there, they know that you are going to use the parts that are available. So it's not that they are discouraging that you go through the process. They are rather encouraging that you do research for yourself. You can explore the net while doing that. You know where to go, which has that you can familiarize yourself with the technology. That is also a part of doing the project, one of the reasons why they give us to do the projects.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a very good point. And okay, so like let's move on to the next part of that. Like Okay, for students, uh, like of course, when an AI like generative tool is being created, also uh, these tools are also present where they check whether it is AI generated or not. Um, so okay, the next part, students might not benefit from that. So that's the conclusion from that part. And the
And
next,
that's not exactly the thing. Students do benefit from it in their own work, not while doing whatever the
yeah,
assignment or project the school has assigned. In a revision, if you have like a few days left and in last minute revision you need to go through a few topics, then ChatGPT is very useful to go through that, but only for your personal information, not for doing any assignments or anything.
Okay, so now let me come to a point. There's now we all have the AI tool ChatGPT. So I think in future the software developer jobs won't be there or the software tested jobs. Because all the programming can be done by ChatGPT itself. Just we would need people to run the AI. So do you agree? Do you guys agree? Will the developer jobs be there?
See, the thing is, ChatGPT itself is a software, and as we progress more and more towards the technologically advanced times, the software developing job is probably one of the few that will actually get enhanced rather than getting destroyed.
Yeah,
Because
and we have millions of software developers now, and so lots of people will be unemployed because of this. So we can say that AI is replacing humans.
lots of people will be unemployed. First of all, ChatGPT cannot really do the coding stuff because there are hundreds of bugs that come out, which is part of making the AI so that the AI cannot like take over on its own. It's like one of the security protocols that you cannot give an AI information on how to write its own code. So that's one of the things. So it cannot develop itself on its own without human intervention or human contribution. It cannot develop itself. Apart from that, the thing is that as you develop more and more towards the technological times, software developing would become more and more relevant because more and more software, like the whole point of technological advance is that, I mean, you are going to produce more technology. So, and while producing technology, you need software. As much as you need hardware, you also need the software, which is the innovation part. So unless you get the software, what can you do with hardware? Hardware usually remains the same rather than software. Software develops at a much faster rate.
Yeah, so we just need someone who will be able to run the chat GPT types of things. So the developer jobs, I won't say that it will completely go, but yeah, it will be few. It will be few in number.
In some fields, yes. In some fields, yes.
Yeah, generally in the IT
Like
sector.
in the
Again,
chat
depends
GPT will
what
be
the AI can do
teaching.
and what the AI cannot do. So yeah.
Exactly. Huh? Yeah, but the cybersecurity market will increase, of course.
all right. So we have been discussing the more like software based parts of AI, but AI has a lot of applications like suppose advanced web search engines like the recommendation systems, uh, and suppose like all the things that we discussed in the earlier ones, like uh, the thing that we use like Google Assistants, they also are like a part of AI. AI is also used in like in some parts like suppose in the websites like chess.com there is an AI bot which you can like customize based on that and that can play chess. So and there is also another thing which AI is used, and that is in self-driving cars. Like suppose Waymo, which is like a part of Google. Um, so like AI is also used in those levels. Like it is in an experimental basis because like so for now we don't have that level that it would be used in self-driving cars, but we are reaching there. Like Tesla is of course it is the most advanced for now, like in the normal usages, but there are some taxis um, which are self-driving taxis. Like it is present in um, suppose in California, which is for Waymo, and like it is also progressing pretty fast.
Yeah, about this, the self-driving cars actually uses like a technology which is not exactly AI but very similar. It is deep learning, which is a part of machine learning, not exactly AI. AI is rather used to make the simulations, etc. Of when you are learning to drive the car, then you use the simulations. That is where AI is used. Self-driving cars use actually deep learning. So in the simulations, while learning to drive the cars, their AI is used rather than deep learning. And then in self-driving cars, AI might be used to like in the very advanced ones where you predict where the car will go next,
Yeah.
and it will swerve there. So that is where AI can be used. However, it's not really in all of the cars. Most of the self-driving cars use deep learning. So however, I'm sure that as we go on in the years, then AI might as well be used in the self-driving cars. I mean, AI has actually developed a lot since it the concept first came out. I mean, it has gone through a lot. So it's like you can actually see the history of AI.
Yes, as Rikambar said, I would like to revise the history of AI once more. Uh, like if we are talking about AI, it dates back to the late 1940s when computer pioneers like Alan Turing and John von Neumann first started examining how machines could think. However, a significant milestone in AI occurred in 1956 when the researchers proved that the machine could solve any problem if it were allowed to use an unlimited amount of memory. This result was a program called General Problem Solver. Its short form is GPS, however, GPS is used in other terms nowadays. Now, as we go over to the next 2 decades, research efforts are focused on applying artificial intelligence to the real world problems. Like Ritomba said about driving cars and all, the development led to the expert systems, which allowed machines to learn from experiences and make predictions based on the gathered data. If you remember, I was talking about machine learning. In machine learning, also, this thing was there, like it was based on prediction and on gathered data. Expert systems are as complex as human brains, but they are trained to identify patterns and make decisions based on the data. They are commonly used in medicines and manufacturing today. Well, there are some more facts about AI, but I would like to keep it as short as possible. Uh, start.
Go, go, go.
The early years of 21st century were a period of significant progress in artificial intelligence. The first major advance was the development of the self-learning neural network. By 2001, the performance has already surpassed human beings in many specific areas such as object classification and machine translation. Over the next few years, researchers improved its performance across a range of tasks thanks to the improvements in the underlying technology. The second significant advancement in this period was the development of the generative model based reinforcement learning algorithms. Generative models can generate novel examples for a given class, which helps learn complex behaviors from a very little data. For example, uh, they can be used to learn how to control a car from only 20 minutes of driving experience. Let me make a note. We were discussing it earlier too. In the addition, To these two advances, there have been several other significant developments in AI over the past decade. There has been an increasing emphasis on using deep neural networks for computer vision tasks, such as object recognition and scene understanding. There had also been increased focus on using machine learning tools for natural language processing tasks such as information extraction and question answering, uh, kind of chat GPT. Finally, there has been a growing interest in using these same tools for speech recognition tasks like automated speech recognition and speaker identification. So that's how far the AI has been developing through these years since 1940s. And now our speakers will be discussing about the main goals of AI.
Okay, so the main goals of AI would be really like if we analyze the main goals of AI, it would be easier for us to understand that whether AI, like in its ultimate form, would be able to replace humans or not. And as such, the goals that AI has is it ranges from automation, where like the in the very basic sense to replace or do the works that human beings do, and like replicate that, and in some cases do it even better. Like suppose in a form of robots, suppose there are some robots which are function which are made designed as such which is not like humanoid, and as such they are capable of doing something in its own, that in its very category it can do what it does best and to do it much better than humans, like reaching some very complex hard to reach places and everything. And like surgeries, medical surgeries, we were talking about that in the earlier session, that like it will AI would help make the medical field a lot better.
Yeah, medical surgery, AI surgery will be there in
Yeah.
future.
um, then suppose complex problems, like solving complex problems that even human beings can't, AI can be used in doing that. Then pattern recognition is something that AI would be able to do. And like as such, suppose interpreting data from something, like finding the patterns which is hard to find. And suppose at in some cases, like what AI would do, like as such, it would be used to suppose find a pattern in suppose some artists, like a work of an artist, and help replicate that in modern life. Um, like if that artist were to live in the 21st century in 2023, a sort of painting that he would have done, or something of that sort, like replicating anything that was present in the past and doing it in the modern times. Then there is natural language processing, which like the AI would understand and be able to generate human languages, that language that we speak in. AI would be able to do that, like think and do uh, that as such. And then machine learning, which we would be talking about in the next session. And then optimization, which also we will talk in the next session in machine learning, because that is also related as such, like finding the best possible solution within a given constraint. That is something that we would discuss in the next one. Then complex decision making, which like at times humans find it difficult to choose between some things, AI would be able to do so. And then like general creativity, and then at the last goal that any AI as such would have is to replicate human emotions and finding that social intelligence. That would be the ultimate goal of AI, because that is like as such now it is very hard to replicate that.
On this matter, like for example, about the medical surgeries, there are several points where you need to make on the spot decisions. You do not detect something at first glance, and then while performing the operation, you suddenly discover that this is the situation. So in those cases, humans will be able to take the decisions which AI cannot, because that information has not been yet fed into the AI. For example, if you are performing a surgery on something and you are doing it on a place where blood loss is not necessarily a very important issue, however, you discover later on that the patient was diabetic. and blood loss can actually be an important factor whether or not the place is vital or not. So in these situations, humans will obviously be at a higher level. So whether or not AI does do the surgeries or medical performances on its own, humans need to be there to supervise at all times in case of emergencies like so. And as for passing humans in other factors, then AI is artificial intelligence, and it can, I think, surpass the human intelligence IQ, but not the EQ and creativity and imagination. That is obviously not yet there in AI yet. And I strongly believe that it is actually very hard to inculcate that into AI, imagination and creativity, because only humans have that. And like, for example, talking about recreating art or like producing art that would probably come in the future. So that is a part of AI that we perceive. For example, we perceive that after a certain amount of time, after some years, there might be like, for example, technology like flying cars, for example. So AI feeds onto that, and then if you are supposed to give an input to an AI that produce an image of a city landscape in the years in the future, so flying cars will be a component of it only because humans perceive it to be so. It is not that the AI knows that some flying cars will be there in the future or not. It is because whatever we are perceiving and we are fed into the AI. So whatever we like, we understand that to be futuristic. That may or may not be necessarily be the future. Whatever AI shows us, it appears to us to be very futuristic. It looks very futuristic aesthetically. We do not, however, know whether or not it will actually be the case.
So, guys, thank you for joining us for this insightful discussion on whether or not AI will surpass humans in the future. So, we hope that this session has provided you guys with a better understanding on the current state of AI technology and its potential impact on the society. While there is no doubt that AI has the potential to revolutionize many aspects of our lives, but it is important to remember that it is still a tool that requires human input and oversight. As we continue to develop and refine AI technology, it is crucial that we do so in a responsible and an ethical manner. So, we look forward to bring you more such content on our YouTube channel, The Wondrous Minds. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date with our latest content. Thank you for watching that.
All right, and shout out to RC. His link channel's link is given in the description below. Thanks for watching.